Hey, what is going on, everybody? Well, I just completed a couple days ago the 2023 4x4x48 Goggins challenge, 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. I said a couple days ago when I finished, I was pretty tired, a little incoherent, and then I'd post a video later about what my experience was like and what my training was like for anyone who may be interested in doing it in the future, which I do highly recommend. So this is what this is. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Rob, 41-year-old, almost 42, dad of 3 boys in Denver, Colorado. Been a firefighter for 16 years, been married to my wife, Kristen, for about the same time. Like I said, I have 3 boys who are 13, 11, and 8. So we are a very, very busy family. Why I bring that up is because I truly believe anybody can do this if you are committed to doing it. My wife and I don't know if you could fit more into the schedule than we have. Like I said, I work 56-hour weeks. My wife's a busy realtor. She works 40+ hour weeks. She's also the PTO president of the school, team mom. My boys all 3 of them play tackle football. So I spend about 10 hours a week roughly at football practice. I spend another 9 to 10 hours at their games, and concurrently they play basketball and soccer most of the season. So we are going nonstop all the time. And if I can fit in the planning to do this program, I promise you can as well. So that all being said, I'm not a runner. A lot of people think that everyone who does this has to be, a half marathon or marathon runner or something. I'm not a runner. I like to lift weights. I do a lot of HIIT workouts. I like to ride the Peloton, do mountain biking. But before this, I didn't really do much more than, a mile or 2 or 3 at a time. So this was a big change for me. So why did I do this? I've had a lot of people tell me, well, A, I'm crazy. I had a lot of people ask if I was having a midlife crisis, which is possible. But no, there's a few big reasons why I did it. The first one is that I just like to do challenging things. I did and completed 75 hard earlier this year. I completed that on the first attempt. I did phase 1 of that. I completed that on the second attempt. And I was kind of just looking for the next thing to do. And this popped up, and I didn't think I was going to be able to accomplish it, but I did. So that's the first reason is I like just to challenge myself. My second reason is that, in my job, I'm just trying to, practice what I preach. I'm trying to show the new generation as well as the, older generation of firefighters that it doesn't matter how long you've been on the job. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter your rank or title. Everyone has a responsibility to stay in shape. And so I'm just trying to, preach that gospel by just doing and showing people what can be done. So the third reason is probably the most important, and that is, I just want to lead by example for my boys. They play football all week long. They're playing spring football in Denver, Colorado right now, which means it's been like 28 degrees outside. They're out practicing in the dark. They're working their butt off, and I preach to them that, they need to always, not complain, put their hands in their hand warmers, get out there and grind it out in the cold, and persevere. And I don't want to be the dad who's just sitting on the sidelines preaching that stuff and they don't actually see me doing anything. So, I do this so that also I can walk the walk with them. I'm not playing any sports right now, but I can show them that, their dad's willing to get out there and grind too and challenge himself and his body. So those are my big reasons. So as far as, the training that I did for this, I decided about a month and a half out to do this. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to train. In that time, I did about 115 to 120 miles of training miles. I did that in segments. I started right away doing 4-mile clips. Then I went to 6, 8, 10. Some days I'd do 3 miles in the morning, wait a few hours, do 2 miles just to try to mix it up. I'm not a runner, so I didn't have a great game plan. I'm sure there's a better one out there, but I just tried to build volume. The other thing I did that was probably one of the biggest differences I made to do this, and a big learning curve, is shoes. So I've been wearing these Solomon Speed Cross shoes for, I don't even know, 7, 8 years or something. I just love these shoes. They're my everyday shoes, but they're trail running shoes. So I was like, well, I've been wearing these for a long time. My feet are used to them. I'll just start wearing these. It'll be fine, even though I'm, on pavement most of the time. That was a big mistake. About 20 or 30 miles in, I started having terrible shin splints. I had, my calves were cramping really bad. It was just really uncomfortable. So I did some research, and I'm not endorsing any particular product, but you know, I switched to a true running shoe. I went with these Brooks Ghost 14s. World of difference. Immediately, no more shin pain. Immediately, no more calf issues. Just felt like gliding. It was a game changer. So if you're starting to do this, get really good running shoes. I'm not saying those are the ones for you. Everyone's foot's different, but for me, those were awesome. And then the other big thing I did for training was I played around with hydration a little bit. I know from teaching a couple fire academies that hydration is paramount. So what I did, I tried these LMNT hydration packs, which is what we use in the fire academies, and these are amazing. I highly recommend these. About a couple weeks ago, I ran out of these, and so I switched to, I couldn't get any in time, so I switched to these liquid IVs that you can just buy at Target. These were really good too, but I'll say they have a lot of sugar in them, and they just didn't go down as easily for me as the LMNTs. So I was very fortunate in that I did the first few legs of this race with the liquid IVs. It did what it needed to do. Then my wife was able to find some of these stored in the back of the cupboard, and I was able to switch to these, and my gut just felt better. I was able to drink more of them. It was a game changer. So what I did for race prep day, so anyone who's looking at doing this, it's all about making your life as easy as possible on the actual day that you're doing the challenge. I mean, I had all my clothes laid out in advance in my bedroom. I had, you know, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, shorts, long, you know, sweatpants. I had all the undergarments, my compression socks. I had all that stuff laid out in advance. So that those 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. runs, didn't even have to think about it. Could just throw some clothes on and go. So absolutely consider doing that. Food prep, not the best person to talk to about food prep. I had a good plan. I made some stuff in advance, but I didn't realize I wasn't gonna have much of an appetite between these runs. So I did, you know, basically just ate Cliff Bars, like the macadamia nut Cliff Bars, and just tried to get nutrition in the whole time because you're just burning through so many calories. I ate some spaghetti, some turkey meat, just whatever I could get down and hold down. I definitely didn't eat 14,000 calories worth, but yeah, I'm not the best on nutrition, just that you want to keep getting the calories in. I ended up doing for hydration, I have a 20-ounce water bottle. So I'd put one of these LMNT packets in there. I would down that immediately after my run, and then I'd refill it and drink another thing of just water. So I think 40 ounces just pretty much right away. I did that because I found that if I drank it too late into that segment, I'd have to go to the bathroom like 2 or 3 times during the next run. So I didn't want to do that. So I drank most of my water right after the runs. I did Epsom salt baths every 3 runs. That was incredible. That made a huge difference with the sore legs. And then I think the other thing that helped a lot was my buddy Nate is a MAT, muscle activation therapy practitioner, and he gave me some exercises to do so I could make sure that I had my hips, my glutes, quads, hamstrings, all that stuff activated for these runs, so I didn't have any compensatory injuries or pains. And I didn't. I did these like 5 or 8 minutes of exercises before every run. Had no knee pain, no shin pain, hip pain, nothing. I felt really freaking good, mostly all in the runs. So the MAT was a huge help. Okay, so you know, I'll post up my times on here somewhere about the times that I chose. You can choose any times that you want to do this. It kind of works around your schedule. I chose times that, you know, I could do my run, and there was days I had to finish that and get my kids right to football practice. So that's why I scheduled my runs. I started at 5 p.m. one day. So for my runs, I did the first one and I felt great. The second one I did felt a little less great. My ankle started hurting a little bit, but everything else was pretty good. So I started wearing compression socks. Compression socks I wore for the rest of them. And there's $20 cheap Amazon compression socks, and it made all the difference in the world. You want to have a ton of race partners if you can, people who are run with you. They don't have to do they're not doing the whole race with you, but they are running these legs with you. I didn't initially want to reach out and bother people and have other people running with me, but when I actually did reach out, I was shocked at the amount of people who wanted to support this and wanted to come run. And I had all but 2 of my legs that I had, one or multiple people running with me. And the two were because I chose to keep those two open. So the race partners made a massive difference, kept your mind off the arduous task that you're completing. So if you are doing this, really reach out to your friends in your circle and see if anyone wants to run with you. You know, I had my normal race runs when I was training were like 8:50 to 9-minute miles. And I knew going into 48 miles, that wasn't gonna be sustainable. So for me, I asked everyone to pace me at like those 10-minute, 30 miles, because I knew that if I went faster than that, I mean, I didn't know, but I figured that if I went faster than that, I was gonna burn out pretty quick. So, so all my miles felt really good. What I'll tell you though is that you need to plan for those early morning runs. My runs were 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. and the first 1 a.m. one that I did, man, I was angry waking up. That one hurt. I was just sore, stiff. You don't have time to warm up your muscles. So, you know, I got through those because I had good running partners. People got me through it, but the lack of sleep, you know, you got to figure that you do your run, you do your 40-minute run, then you come back, you have to hydrate, you have to eat, you have to stretch. So you have like 2 hours and 45 minutes till your next run. And somehow you're supposed to get your heart rate down from your 130, 140s and then get to sleep. So you'd get like an hour and 15 minutes of sleep, I think at the most, between these legs. So that first morning runs were a little rough. All my runs on my second day felt great. It's just a mental game, just thinking of just how to get through it. Like I said, had people to talk to, had some good music to listen to. So my quads were tired, like they were tender to the touch, but they would warm up after a mile or so. Everything else felt good. My 1 a.m. run, day 2, was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. I woke up, I could not bend my legs. It was, you know, I think 22 or 23 degrees outside. It was like 30 to 40 mile an hour blowing winds. And I had to crawl down the stairs. I could not bend my legs to get down the stairs. So I had to crawl down the stairs on my butt to get to the front door. You know, I looked outside. I had this thought in my head that, okay, the weather's gonna suck. I'm just gonna go do this run on the treadmill in my basement. And then I thought about the fact that, you know, my boys are out there practicing football in the same kind of weather, and I tell them to suck it up. And so I just couldn't go down there and do it on the treadmill. I threw up the warmest clothes I could on. I went outside. I basically walked that whole thing. I think I ran maybe a half mile of it, but I had to walk it with my legs locked out. The wind's blowing me off the path. It was a really horrible experience, but I got through it. But that was like that was my mental testing ground, was like just miserable the whole time. Wonder why the heck I am doing this, and if I can even come close to finishing it when I had, you know, 3 more runs left, I guess, after that. But that was the worst one. You know, the 5 a.m. I woke up for, fortunately, I was like, in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna have to walk this thing too. But I had 3 great running partners and 2 dogs. And, you know, I just didn't think about it. I just tried to keep pace with them at like that's 10:30, 10:50 miles. And I was able to run that whole thing. You know, started feeling pretty good once my legs were moving. And then the next 2 runs, I felt like $1 million. Like I was running sub 10 miles. I felt great. I felt really freaking good the last time. And I had a huge sense of accomplishment when I finished that thing. I finished around 1:45 that day. Felt really good for a few hours. And I'll just say, if you do this, you're going to probably feel like you have that, I mean, a little bit of a runner's high. But at like 6:30, I hit a wall like I've never hit before in my life. I was not able to function. I was on the couch. I could barely talk or listen to anyone or do anything. I was completely exhausted. So that's my experience with the 4x4x48. You know, as a conclusion, you know, obviously it's 48 miles, but you know, my Apple Watch said I did about 106,000 steps in those 2 days, burned a little over 14,000 calories. I had to charge my Apple Watch a lot during the night, so I didn't get really great sleep tracking data, but from what it can tell me, it's about 4 to 6 hours of what I got in that time span. And I had a really great time doing it. I'm absolutely going to do it again. I said I wanted to do it this time to make sure I could complete it before next time I do it, where I want to raise some money for charity. Kristen and I have a couple of charities we always like to support, one being Revital, which supports the mental health of first responders, and then Down for a Cure, which supports those that have Down syndrome and cystic fibrosis. So if you're ever looking for good charities, those are two amazing ones to look at. And I'll just say, if I could give anyone any other tips, it's maybe train a little bit more in advance than I did. If you can give yourself a couple months, but honestly, anyone can do it. You can, if you think about it, you can walk 4 miles in an hour and 15 minutes or so. It's not ideal, like you're gonna have less recovery time, but don't think that you cannot do this challenge. It gives you a sense of confidence afterwards that I would like to see more people achieve. So maybe train a little bit more in advance than I did in a month and a half, but like I said, the miles I put in, those 115, 116 miles, I think it adequately prepared me. I felt just fine the day after, a little sore, feel great today. This whole thing, it's a 60% mental, 40% physical challenge, 100%. So I just want to thank every single person who supported me. I was really just absolutely shocked and humbled by the amount of people who reached out, who wanted to either run with me, who wanted to just like talk to me, message with me, ask, how it's going. So just thank you to everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube and it's even 1 or 5 years after this event, hopefully I'll be posting these every year. I'll put my email on the bottom here, and you can just email me, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Put my Instagram handle. Just please reach out, ask questions if it's on either this program or the 75 Hard program. Both are really good in their own rights. So thank you again, everyone, for your support, and I'll see you for the next one.